As someone who's terrified of snakes in real life, this one's pretty darn cute. This is Snake Pass, a new retro-themed puzzle platformer for the Nintendo Switch, PS4, Xbox One, and the PC, that retails for $19.99. It's retro-themed in the sense that it looks like a classic 3D platformer from the N64 era, but with unconventional controls that is part of the game's charm and definitely part of its challenge. In Snake Pass you control a duo of friends, a snake named Noodle and a hummingbird named Doodle. For the most part you'll be controlling around Noodle, but you can also call the Doodle to help pick up your tail whenever you're in sticky situation. The story is a simple premise too. One day Doodle wakes up Noodle to tell him that someone has been messing with the gates of their world. Noodle and Doodle have to collect the 3 keystones from each level to open up the level gates and move on to the next part of the world. It's a very vague and simple story, but it's more than enough background information for this puzzle-focused game. There's a total of 15 levels in Snake Pass divided into 4 themed worlds. Each world also introduces new puzzle elements, for example sticks to climb on and lava to avoid. It's a pretty short game in that sense, but there's plenty for you to collect in each level. Each level has 5 golden coins and 20 blue orbs to collect. These objects act like bonus collectible items that add up to a percentage for each level, but the main objectives are these 3 keystones needed to progress to the next level. Sometimes these collectibles will be well hidden and other times they're literally in plain sight. The challenge can be finding the items, but more often than not the challenge with this game is the controls. You see, you not only play as a snake, but the controls are quite literally entirely themed to mimic what the snake would control like. Pressing the right trigger moves Noodle forward, while the left trigger grips onto whatever Noodle is on. You move Noodle's head with the analog stick and lift his head with the A button. Occasionally you'll have to swim in some levels too. That's when you can press the X button to dive down underwater. And lastly, the Y button tells Doodle to pick up Noodle's tail. On paper the controls seem quite simple, but in practice it can be incredibly challenging. Like I said, the game makes you play as a snake and you really do have to think like one. If you want to reach a high platform for example, you need to think of a way to constrict Noodle's body around objects so there's some momentum to move him up the wall. A better example is just getting him to move forward. A snake can't just move forward in a straight line, it has to swivel its muscles back and forth in a certain direction. Those same rules apply in Snake Pass. At times the controls and puzzles can be clever, and other times they can be incredibly frustrating. Maybe during the first few moments in the puzzle I'd chuckle whenever I'd mess up at climbing an object, but after 20 to 30 minutes of messing up something I knew how to approach, I got pretty frustrated because of the controls. I think the puzzles and controls have some charm to them in the fact that they're actually pretty frustrating, and a good example of this is the game Octodad that purposely makes the game hard to control, but in a comedic way. In the case of Snake Pass, it can be like that at some times, but other times I feel like it loses its balance and becomes more frustrating than just comedic. There's an option to change the controls from default to easy mode, but even then I didn't think it was all that more easier in the easy mode. Visually speaking, Snake Pass does look like a very pretty game. It truly does look like the modern take on an N64 3D platformer. Lighting elements like fire and streaks of light that glow on the environment really do look great in this game. It runs on Unreal Engine 4 and was able to run on the Nintendo Switch because of it, albeit with much less pretty looking visuals. On other consoles the frame rate was solid, but on the Nintendo Switch I did see some minor dips in the frame rate here and there in TV mode, more specifically when there was a big view of the entire level. Although since this is a slower paced gameplay puzzle game, it didn't really distract me from the gameplay as much as it would if it was a fast paced action game. In terms of the music, Snake Pass's soundtrack is just as reminiscent of 3D platformers as its visuals are. The soundtrack is composed by David Wise, who helped make the music for games like Donkey Kong Country, Star Fox Adventures, and Battletoads. He does a great job at capturing the cuteness and charm of Snake Pass while helping contribute to its retro-themed origins. There's a good amount of peppy happy vibing tracks here that just fit perfectly with the game's art style. You even have the option to turn off the sound effects in the options menu if you really do just want to listen to the music while you play the game. Snake Pass is a pretty decent puzzle game. It's rather shorter than I'd hope, only having 15 levels, and if you're good enough with the controls you can quite literally beat this game in a matter of a few hours. It's definitely charming in both its music and visuals, giving off vibes of classic Rare games from the past. It should be noted if you're picking this up on Nintendo Switch, it's going to take a hit both in visuals and some occasional FPS drops. You trade that off for the portability that the system has to offer. Its puzzles are challenging, but more often than not it's because of the weird controls in combination with interesting puzzles. Sometimes there's a good balance of clever puzzle design and funny controls, and sometimes the balance is tipped over to the point where the game becomes frustrating rather than just clever. I don't think it's a must-have by any means or a game you need to go out and buy on launch day, but it's a cute and entertaining puzzle game to keep in mind next time you have some cash laying around or just want to pick up an interesting puzzle game. Thank you all very much for watching this review. If you enjoyed it, let me know by hitting that like button, and as always, if you have any questions about the game, I encourage you to ask them in the comment section below. While you wait for my next video, you can click on my cartoony face to subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, or you can check out my Nintendo Switch must-have accessories video. Thank you all for watching, and I'll see you all in the next one.